People, when they see his smiling face, they will know automatically this is the person that is joining us today, the esteemed senator from the phenomenal state of New Jersey, none other than the Honorable Cory Booker. Senator Booker, welcome to Truth and Power today.
It is such an honor to be here, and not just honor to be here, but honor the traditions of this station and so many Black radio stations around the country who were the source of our strength, our spirit, our energy, our entertainment, our information, keeping us on track through tough days, helping us to overcome. So thank you for continuing that tradition, that legacy.
Well, I am joined in the studio today by my esteemed colleague, Miss Alexis Ramsey, and again, myself, Watkins Broadcasting. We are very, very much honored to have you here with us today. But Senator Booker, can you tell us, you are here in the state of Michigan today for a purpose when it comes down to this democratic process that we want to see permeate throughout the entire United States. Your purpose of being here, sir? Well,
can I just, on a personal note, let you know that I am here especially because this is the city that took my family out of poverty. My grandparents moved here from Monroe, Louisiana. My grandfather got a job on the assembly lines, became a UAW member, became a UAW organizer. They opened small businesses here, a pool hall, a laundromat, gas station. The statute of limitations is run, so I can say this now publicly without worrying about law enforcement action. They ran numbers.
The street numbers is what
the street numbers, right. Yes. The lottery before it went with legit.
Right.
And my mom was born here. Okay. And I owe a debt to this city that took my family into the middle class. And I've always been in love with Detroit for that. So whenever Obama or Clinton or now Harris asked me to come here, I come here with joy and a recognition that this is the city, this is the community, this is the Black community that was there for my family as they rose up. And so I'm here to continue that tradition. My grandfather bragged till the day he died. During the Depression, most Blacks up till then had been Republicans. And they used to go knocking on doors as they were organizing. He bragged that he turned 14 districts from Republican to Democrat by doing democratic work, the hard work of just turning out the vote. And he was so proud of that because then FDR and Democrats brought Social Security, brought Medicare, brought so many of the things, union rights and civil rights. And so he made sure that I was raised in that tradition. So when I get to come back out here for an election that is so consequential to the state of Michigan, to the community of Detroit, I'm living the purpose that was literally ingrained into my DNA to be a part of this state. And I want to be candid with everyone. I'm from New Jersey. We are jealous, Jersey jealous of this state because everybody here has a power. The Clinton election, I just sat with Hillary and she was telling me 40,000 votes over 3 states, that few number, less than 1 vote per precinct could have changed the outcome of the 2016 election. And so that's how powerful each and every one of your listeners is. And the most common way people give up their power is not realizing they have it in the first place. And so we want people to know they have their power and know that my families in Newark depend on you and what you do, that there are families in Mississippi that depend on you. Folk in Texas depend on you. And I'm hoping that your listeners understand the urgency. And in the name of my grandfather, please use your power and get out there and vote. That's my message. That's my purpose. That's why I'm here.
Well, Senator Booker, now, there's a lot of people that may be thinking that their vote doesn't matter in this election. And I hear, especially in the Black communities, here in the state of Michigan, what is your message to them, especially the Black men that may feel like their vote may not matter in this upcoming election?
Well, first of all, I share what I think, and again, I hear it from my community. I'm the only United States senator that lives in the Black and brown community that's below the poverty line, frankly. We don't mistake wealth with worth in my community. We know the riches we have within each other. And I think a lot of black men are understandably frustrated with the pace of progress. I mean, how long? How long do we have to wait until we have a criminal justice system that's not so wildly biased? How long do we have to wait until we can get access to capital that in any way reflects what the majority can get in terms of entrepreneurialism? And these issues are interrelated. We know that. The over-incarceration of African-American men for doing things that now presidents and congresspeople admit doing, possession of drugs and the like. Now there's 40,000 collateral consequences. You can't rent a home. You can't get certain licenses. You can't get jobs. And you see the disparities in income between blacks and whites, around Trump time was getting worse, not better. So I get the hurt and the anger and the frustration, but I have the privilege of being the fourth black person ever popularly elected to the United States Senate. Before me, it was Obama. Before that, Carol Moseley Braun. Before that, Edmund Burke. 4 people. Wow. And I get to see every day decisions that we don't know about, but they get made. So let me give you just one simple example, because I know you struggle with it in Detroit. We struggle with it in Newark. Blacks way overrepresent in lung diseases, emphysema to asthma. And, before Donald Trump, Obama had really put restrictions on polluters and what they could put into the air, put tough methane standards, which is a really bad gas in the air for people who have breathing problems. Trump came in and let polluters do what they wanted to do, called it deregulation, but really it was just letting them put out more stuff. Well, I know the actuarial tables. More people die, particularly black people, of emphysema, asthma attacks. Remember, a black kid with asthma and a white kid with asthma, that black kid is 10 times more likely to die. Right. Mm-hmm. So I could go through a dozen of those things that my folk in my community don't know every day, that we were able to, the vice president and I were able to partner on in these last 4 years and get stuff done. Let's just talk about lead in our water. When Flint, Michigan happened, horrible, horrible situation. But I don't know if you all know that there were over 3,000 jurisdictions in America where children had more than twice the blood lead levels of Flint. Disproportionately black and brown communities. Kamala and I founded the Environmental Justice Caucus in the Senate. Never was there before. Fought for those issues. She bumps up the vice president. I'm in the Senate. We get into one of those big bills, billions of dollars to get every lead pipe out of the ground in all of America, so that our kids have better access to clean water. Folk don't necessarily know that. Right. Let me tell you, my mama, she's hard on me. She still is to this day. Love her to death. This Delta sister. She always says to me, behind every successful child is an astonished parent. This is the boy that wouldn't make his bed. She will tell you that even in her senior community, just this administration doing what Trump said he was going to do, lower the cost of insulin, but diabetes is off the charts in our community. And people have been rationing their insulin. And now it's down to $35. Or how about this? She got mad at me. My mama got mad at me because in the debates for when I ran for president, I was on Joe Biden because I thought his marijuana policies wouldn't fly. And I was disrespectful, and she was mad because I made a joke. I said, I don't know who wrote your marijuana policies, Mr. Vice President, but I think they were high when they did it. and everybody laughed in the audience, but not my mother. She said, don't disrespect the Vice President of the United States. Well, when the Vice President and President Biden got in office, they did something right from my plank of my presidential run. They pardoned all all nonviolent marijuana convictions, all of them on the federal level. So these are things that they've been doing that have had a real impact, that when I talk to folks in my community, they don't necessarily know about those things. And whether, I think it was Louisville, Kentucky, just did a study about, they, like many urban areas, just have lost their tree canopy. Why are trees important? Some person probably put out an article about the tree apartheid. If you look at where trees are planted in America and put a lie down next to race, well, trees actually help to clean the atmosphere, but nature has an effect. And I will tell you that the study in Louisville, Kentucky showed by the money that they used, that we put into the budget the Harris the Harris Biden administration and me, they talked about the inflammation, which is causing so many things, went significantly down in that city. So I could go on and on and on. But my favorite one is just black businesses. Biden-Harris set a record for the most new in 1 year black business starts. And when I talk to Kamala, I keep calling her Kamala because she's like my sister, but I got to be respectful.
But the main thing is you're saying her first name right.
Yeah.
Hello.
And it was so funny, Senator, when you would see the hats that had a
Kamala
on it and then live right there.
Yes, it's so easy.
But
why do people disrespect her? But
right.
So she got some swagger. She said, yeah, we set a record under Joe Biden, but I'm going to blow that record up should I become. And how am I going to do it? Specific plans. She wants to know all these young people want to start businesses. It is a $5,000 new business start deduction on your taxes over some years. You can deduct $5,000 for the cost of your refrigerating unit or your special camera, whatever. She says, I'm going to do that 10x, $50,000 for new business starts. We're going to make your tax filings easier because anybody who started a business knows how burdensome a lot of these, just the red tape has to be. She's going to cut that all out. And then the most important thing, because women of any color know this, getting access to capital for women when they start businesses is so difficult. Getting access to capital for African Americans is so difficult. And then you understand in some communities, the Flint folks, we just had a business roundtable telling me over 40% of their population in Flint are justice involved. In other words, they're formerly incarcerated, probation, parole, and they want to start businesses, but often have bars. And so she says, we're going to remove all of those bars that we can, and we are going to make more no-cost or low-cost loans available for folks so they're not paying any interest and they can get access to capital. Because she knows something. This isn't charity. This is not charity. For the venture capitalists in America who only give about 1% to 2% of their VC dollars to women, that's stupidity. Why? Because women have the most genius ideas just like men do. We're losing out on the economic growth of massive parts of our population because we don't have somebody with the vision of Kamala Harris right now at the helm that knows we all do better when we all do better.
Right. Well, before I let Alexis ask you a question real quick, I just want to ask you, you mentioned your mother a couple of times.
Yes, sir.
And just to tell me, did your mother ever think in her lifetime that she would see a black man ascend to be the president of the United States, as well as on the precipice now of seeing a black woman?
So I tell the story all the time because when Obama was being inaugurated, my mother's mother, my grandmother, who was this Michigander, this Detroit woman.
And you can mention their name. So I mean,
so Adeline Jordan, my grandfather's Limery Jordan. Thank you very much for allowing me to honor my ancestors here. I brought her down to Washington for the inauguration. My grandmother, 90 plus years old, and these reporters all swarmed around her. You know, her grandson's this fancy politician now, and they asked her, "Did you ever think you would live to see the day that a black man would become president?" And I thought she was going to give some answer like, "This is what we fought for. We knew this was going to happen. We paid for it in our sweat, tears, and blood. This is what way my grandparents used to teach us and talk." And she just looked the camera person in the face and said, "No, never thought it would happen. I'm living a moment beyond my wildest dreams." And it was dangerous in our time. It would have been dangerous to look a white person in the face and say this might happen. And it just gave me this chilling effect and made me have a little silent prayer. It's my prayer. I pray to God through the labors that we do that one day when I'm in my 90s, should I live so long, that I could say to somebody one day that the America that we created is beyond my wildest dreams for racial equality, for justice, for a more beloved community that I dream of. Because right now I am hurting. I'm hurting there's so much hate in our country. I'm hurting that there's so much racial violence and religious violence. I'm hurting because so many people I respect and know are losing their faith in the promise of America. And when I see, Donald Trump get up there and demean and degrade, talk about urban carnage and talk down, it hurts me a lot because it inflames the divisions when I know God wants us to understand we're one family. And I grew up in a little black church that taught me radical love love your enemy, love those who hate you. And we got to heal. We really do. And the reason I'm working so hard for Kamala is because I've been in tough negotiations with her in the Senate, sitting across from Republicans, and sometimes say things that, we were the two blacks there in the Democratic caucus. And when I was the only one there, I still remember doing something like Spike Lee to her, like, please, baby, please, baby, please run for Senate. Don't leave me alone. Run for Senate. But I watched her ability to bring even the most diverse people together to a sense of common cause and common purpose. I don't want a president, whether it's Democrat or Republican, that's going to double down on the hate and the division in our country. I know there's a lot of important policy issues, but I want a president that's going to start to remind America that we need each other, that we've got to put more indivisible back into this one nation under God.
And you want a president that's going to be a representation of all the people.
Yes.
Not just some of the people.
Yes.
Not based on economic status.
Yes.
Not based on color of their skin.
Yes.
Or their religion, or even their, who they identify with in terms of, say, the LGBTQ IA plus population.
Yes.
So you want somebody that represents all of the people, not just some of the people. Alexis?
Well, I'm taking it in a different direction.
Please.
I thanked you earlier for posting this, but I was just curious of what made you post that letter from a slave to a slave master.
I really appreciate it because we, a few years ago, my chief of staff who's here, Veronica Duran, now that you let me name people, one of the only Latina chiefs of staff ever, she and I just felt like if we really believed that there was too much hate and division, we would create a digital presence that would be about love, that would be about bringing people together, expanding consciousness. So it's you go on my Instagram or whatever, you're not going to see the typical postings of an elected official. We're trying to bring in those values.
Okay.
And so when I see content out there that I think can touch folks, and this one's gotten millions of views on our platforms. This was Lawrence Fishburne reading this extraordinary letter to his former slave master's owner. And it's just so profound. What I love about the letter, though, it is not full of hate and bitterness.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
It's remarkably just common sense.
Absolutely.
But speaking truth, not
disrespectful.
Not disrespectful, but speaking truth. And this is what I love about my heroes in the Black community. They never shrunk away with niceties. Nice is not kindness. Nice is just telling people what they might want to hear and candy coating stuff. No, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Ella Baker, they told hard truths.
Absolutely.
But they did it respectfully.
There you go.
And with love. And so you read this letter, it is so full of love, but candid stuff that, is incredible.
It was straight to the point.
Straight to the point.
Straight to the point and saying what you owe me.
Yes.
But in a very kind way.
Yes.
Right. The labor that I put in.
Yes.
But in a very kind way.
He did the math.
Exactly. There you go.
Yes. The math. Arithmetic don't lie. Yes. Math was the method. I like that.
Absolutely. But the last question that I have for you is how do we as individuals inspire young people our age to get out there and vote? Outside of what Darwin was saying. But what are 3 things that you think that we could go out to people right now and say, why do you need to vote for Vice President Harris?
Well, so
Top 3.
The first thing I would say to you that is to understand is that there are young people leading right now and elevate their voices.
Absolutely.
Because they can talk to their peers better than a middle-aged Black guy can talk to them. So we often think that we have to talk to our young people. Our young people, I met a 7th grader, little black girl today, she was a high school student because she told me about her AP math teacher, that was out to got up early this morning to go out and knock on doors. I met a young little boy today out knocking on doors. So if you will, first thing I would say, elevate the voices of young people to talk to young people.
Absolutely.
Because I don't like how some leaders talk down to youth when really they are the leaders now that we need to help us to get to tomorrow. Second thing I would say, fundamentally, is bring the facts. Bring the facts of how this tells folks specifically that on this ballot, as you are a young person, your reproductive rights are happening. Let me tell you, people in Texas who have been bleeding in parking lots
Mhm.
because they couldn't get the reproductive care and the abortion that they needed to save their life. The more you tell people the facts and help them understand,
Yes.
the better it's going. And then the last thing I like to do myself is to tell my own story,
Mhm.
because facts are really important. My dad used to say he was a salesman. Statistics tell, stories sell.
Absolutely.
And when I tell stories, I try to let them know there is a tradition
Mhm.
in our community.
Mhm.
You know, my mother did a sit-in in Virginia. I tell stories about what it was like, because to know you're a part of something, a part of a legacy, a part of a long running baton handing race to justice, I think helps people place themselves in a historical context that can be very compelling.
Absolutely. And then just one more thing, just your opinion, just real quick on
Yes.
Project 2025.
I mean, if someone,
If you
my
can give it to me quick.
Angelou
Yes.
said, if someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. The same Heritage Foundation where Donald Trump got his Supreme Court nominees from,
Absolutely.
people that were a part of his administration wrote a document that's so damning to our rights and our liberties in specificity about how they want to take so much away from the people that's going to benefit the wealthiest. It is a document that is a blueprint for their administration that now they're trying to run away from.
Oh, absolutely.
But the reality is there in black and white. I hope people will take their time, some time to get to know what that document is. You should be scared. You should be scared
Absolutely.
from this document, because they spelled it all out. That if they win, they're coming in to transform the federal government, to dismantle the federal government as we know it.
Right. Absolutely.
Well,
Thank you.
Senator, we are so pleased to have had you come into the station today with us on behalf of Watkins Broadcasting, on behalf of R.J. Watkins, the president, Maxine Willis, Henry Tyler, and others. We would definitely like to extend that invitation to you, if you ever come back to Michigan again, please, you have a standing invitation to come back here.
Well, I just want to say what you all do is not easy, and running a radio station is not easy. Well, this media is being fractured now. It's so much harder to do what you all are doing, but it's so vital. It is so vital. And my grandparents grew up in Detroit, where black radio was the source of so much of the strength of the black community. And so I just want to say thank you. And I want to tell you right now, I'm confident in this because I'm a man of faith, that my grandmother, Adeline, and my grandfather, Limery, are in heaven looking down at the traditions that you all are continuing in this great city. And they are deeply, deeply proud and grateful for what you do.
Well, you can always come back and drop names. So,
all right.
So we definitely appreciate, we know you got to run. So we definitely appreciate you coming in here today and taking some time with us out of your busy, busy day.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless everyone who's listening.
God bless you as well. Thank you.
All right, you have been watching a special edition of Truth to Power with our special guest, and that was the Honorable Senator from the great state of New Jersey, Senator Cory Booker. And I appreciate my esteemed colleague, Mr. Alexis Ramsey, for being here and joining with me on this journey. But again, this is a special edition of Truth to Power because we understand just how important this election is and how Senator Booker made the mention to Project 2021 or 2025 rather, is what the congressman from South Carolina, Jim Clyburn, said is Jim Crow 2.0.
Absolutely.
And that's the way that he looks at it. But again, you've been watching Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we look forward to seeing you in the very, very near future.